Very warm welcome to everyone on Bollywood Live. I'm your host Russell De Silva और आज हमारे साथ मौजूद है हिंदुस्तानी सिनेमा के ऐसे बड़े निर्देशक जिनके बारे में मैं यकीन के साथ कह सकता हूँ कि जब भी इंडियन सिनेमा के इतिहास को लिखा जाएगा कोई भी युग में तो इनका नाम सुनहरे अक्षरों में एकदम ऊंचे स्थान पे होगा. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट राम गोपाल वर्मा who has given Indian cinema some of the finest films we could ever imagine. Huge round of welcome to you, sir. It's an honor talking to you.
And thanks for making me feel so old.
That was not my intention. That was not my intention. It's more than old. I would say it's a legendary.
I was just joking.
Yes, sir. Sir, after a long time, it feels a long time now, considering the huge gap that has happened in cinema halls. But it is good to see that newer is beginning with a Ram Gopal Verma film, and you're coming back with a horror film. Horror is your forte. So the trailer looked very interesting. It has an ensemble cast. Tell us the relevance of the word 12 o'clock to your horror movie, and also what it is about, what is different, how does it from your other horror films that the audience can expect?
See, part one, the relevance of the title, to be frank, is not much, but I always thought 12 o'clock, even from the time whenever you heard as a kid, it always had a kind of a synonymous aspect to horror. Raat 12 baje, you hear the ghanti in the midnight striking of the clock. And that Adhi Raat as a word, I think, is very synonymous with horror. To that context, I think I just wanted to keep it like a brand. And I want to make a series of films. So this film is actually called Andar Ka Bhoot, And 12 o'clock is just like a brand. Now, what is unique about this film? I think, when if maybe a year back or something, a person told me, Ram, you keep saying that you don't believe in supernatural and all that, but the point is you didn't experience it. So how can you speak for people who might have experienced something which is beyond rational understanding? I thought that was an interesting point. So I thought to create a situation where the scientific community and the police department are faced with a strange case where they have no choice but to believe that there is something supernatural going on in it. You know. So, but now you would have never heard a policeman saying that, like, we think there is a ghost in this case, involved in this case. Even if they feel that they can't say it, because even the believers will laugh at that. That's something like that insinuating it. And that's what I think is unique. And second, the way it is made, it is just put in the. Nobody's alone in the film. Usually, horror films have a tendency to put a character suddenly alone in a room or a hall or a house.
Yeah.
Yet everyone is together all the time. But yet, the scare is there because what you're experiencing yourself, you can't really share it with anyone, or you can't share it with people who probably could get you out of the trouble, namely the police and the medical community. So the fear becomes even more intense. So that's the point.
A very interesting point you made that somebody told you that unless and until you believe in the supernatural, then.
Yeah.
So that is very interesting because you have made some of the finest horror movies dating back to Raat and then Bhoot and Funk. So, despite making these horror movies, you still did not believe in the supernatural, sir?
No, for the same reason. If I'm making a gangster film, that doesn't mean I believe in gangsters.
No, but
See, as a filmmaker, my point is to tell an entertaining story. And if suppose my characters are such that I'm creating a situation with a story where someone believes in something or someone goes ahead and does something, I am just telling the story of that person as a filmmaker that doesn't necessarily reflect my personal views on the same subject matter.
12 O'Clock has an ensemble cast, legend and legendary actor like Mithun Chakravarti, some very fine actors like Ashish Vidyarthi, Makran Deshpande, a nice supporting cast, Flora Saini is there. So when you getting them all these together while writing this, while getting the project in your mind, did you have these actors in mind while casting them?
Not necessarily all of them. I think casting happens for a period of time. It's not like one fine day you sit in the office and decide on who's going to play with whom. As the script is developing, you suddenly think of someone, and likewise, yeah.
Flora Saini is a very interesting choice. She has done some web series, and she's usually associated with bold material on the web series. How, while casting her, how did you, sir, envisage her in this part? Because this is completely different to her image. How did that vision come about?
Yeah, I think it breaks the pattern. In fact, I was just telling her yesterday in some kind of a FB live which we've done with each other. I said, I think this must be the first film where only your close-ups are there. In the entire film,
Yes.
there's only some tight close-ups of Flora. Probably it's not even a mid-shot that I can remember.
Yeah. Uh, sir, you had a career which has spanned. We could call yourself a pan-India director. You have not been restricted to a particular industry. While beginning your career, sir, there has been some great films, Shiva, Drohi. Then there was some lovely South films,
Hmm.
AM. Before this was before Rangila and Satya came, sir. What would you say would be the movie that really
Yeah.
put you on the map there as a director, where your contemporaries and other people also took you really seriously?
I mean, pan India wise, I think it's definitely Rangila. I mean, though Shiva had given me quite a, popularity, but more in the film industry, I think in the audience mind, I think first time they heard my name, everyone, I think it's Rangila, and Satya probably kind of, followed that in the same way.
Cemented that. So, would there be some movies in your career? Would you say that probably they are having come at a certain time and sequels were not the norm at that
Yeah,
time, like how they are now? Probably they missed the opportunity of making sequels. Like probably if you say Rath, it was tailor made for a sequel. Then there was a South movie of yours with Sridevi and Venkatesh, Shanam Shanam. That
yeah,
also. So, would you
yeah.
say that probably they missed a boat of sequels because of the time they released?
I mean, a sequel primarily, if you look at it, if someone liked the food you put and you want a second helping, this is what from the audience's perspective. And from a filmmaker's perspective, since already one film has made the subject or the title popular, so the hope is that at least they will come apart from somebody else. You know, I think it makes business sense, and the fact that the first was liked is the point. Whereas a remake, I think it's much more to do with you're aiming for a completely younger generation. You probably haven't seen the original.
Yes.
Many times the remakes are parried a lot because once seen by the original guys, and in comparison, they very rarely like a remake, you know, because they like the original so much that they feel that it's been spoiled or something. Yeah.
Speaking about remakes, I must ask you this because this is the first time I'm speaking to you. In fact, Bollywood Life, I don't think so I've spoken to you in ages. Is this the reason, would you say, Ram Gopal Verma Ki Aag was derided a lot because the people just couldn't get Sholay out of their mind? Or looking back, do you feel that probably
I
yeah,
I definitely yeah. I definitely think it's one factor, maybe not the only factor. I mean, the factor I think is when they see someone iconic people like Dharmender and Amitabh Bachchan, and at the time in those kind of roles, to suddenly see some newcomers, whether they're good or bad, I think it'll be very difficult to assimilate, but especially considering the popularity of Sholay, which never dies, incidentally. Okay. I would think there's one factor, important factor, but maybe that's not the only factor. Because I think the film also, I became till too indulgent, and I became it had a lot of lag in it, and I think it just was all over the place. So I would say that is just one factor.
that's very
Largely, it's to do with me. I mean, my indulgence.
That's very big of
Yeah,
you to say that. I remember when I was growing up, at that time, when I was still studying when the movie came out, and I'd read one of your interviews, sir, and you had told that you would keep trying to make Sholay till it is accepted. Keep trying to remake
yeah.
Sholay till it is accepted. Have you given up that quest, sir?
So when I tried to remake Sholay, it became Aag. So I thought if I tried to remake Aag, it might become Sholay.
Brilliant people. So I will just get on to the next question, sir. 12 o'clock. You intend to make it as a, like you said, you intend to make it as a franchise.
Yeah.
Are the ideas of the subsequent parts already swirling in your head? Are you waiting
Yes,
for?
yes.
Are you okay?
Yeah, already a couple of them are already written down.
Okay. So we could expect them pretty soon, because there's one thing about your filmography, sir. You don't waste time from movie to movie. I noticed that. So we could
Yeah.
expect them soon.
Yes. I mean, I can't be committing the time period, but it will be within a few months.
Yeah, true. Before we trail off, sir, the final thing is two things actually. So there was a time, I think so it was still Run and Rakta Charitra, where it was probably used to get all the biggest of stars to work in your movie, from Amitabh Bachchan to Ajay Devgan, all these things. Is it a conscious effort that now, sir, you are working with actors who are not probably stars, or is this a conscious effort that in your latter phase of your career?
It's not always had a mixed match of actors. My first film, Shiva,
Yeah.
for a Hindi audience, it was a debut of an actor from South.
Hmm.
Practically, it was new people.
Hmm.
And then, like Raat, again, it was new people.
Okay.
In fact, I've always had a tendency to work with new actors and not technically stars most of my career.
So getting a star now for your film again, is it as easy as it used to be, or are there more challenges now in the newer age?
See, I make the kind of genre films. I make films which are like very realistic and which are niche.
Hmm.
And so big stars will be actually liable. It's not a question. I never approach them because they will look fake. For example, in a movie like 12 O'Clock, for example, you make it a star, it look very fake, you know. So I think if when I did Satya, now imagine if Satya had very recognized faces, I don't think the film will remain the same.
True.
So the kind of film subjects which I select, which I choose, they call for actors or fresh faces most of the time. Yeah.
True. And so this is a personal question. I had read somewhere that there was a movie with Nagarjuna, if I'm not mistaken. I cannot remember the title of the movie, where you wanted to cast Sri Devi, but the thing is, you are a huge Sri Devi fan. We know that. But because of her inability, you had cast Urmila Matondkar, and from there, your relationship with Urmila Matondkar grew, your professional relationship. Is this true, sir?
Yes, that's not true. That's not true at all.
Okay, okay, because
No.
you know how
Yeah.
in the media things circulate. Anyway, sir,
Yeah.
it was brilliant talking to you, and I do wish I get
Yeah.
to see the in 12 o'clock the same old Ram Gopal Verma which I've grown up with. So brilliant talking to you.
Okay. Thanks.